welcome to the final part of my Things That Scared Me as a Kid series. I'm sorry it's taken so long to get done. I didn't want to start it before going on holidays, it would have been on my mind the entire time, although I severely underestimated how much time there was until then. And then when I came back, I had to wait at least a week to start recording anything because I was given a cold. Before starting though, I would very quickly like to say thank you so much for, well, over 200 subscribers now. And just thank you for watching these videos. I put a lot of time and effort into them, and seeing people enjoy them makes me super happy. So yeah, just thank you for that. Anyway, with the sappy stuff out of the way, let's actually get this thing started. First of all, I want to quickly mention some things that I remembered after uploading the last part. I won't spend too much time on these, but I'll explain enough to give context. For games, there was a couple smaller things that I forgot about. This is gonna sound dumb, but the Sega Rally Championships Game Over always scared me. Not because of the Game Over itself, but because the last second of the audio would glitch and make a really weird noise, so the entire thing ended up creeping me out. Second was this drill chase near the end of the second level of Crash Twinsanity. It was so tense, and as a kid I could never hit the crystals correctly, so almost every time I would just die because the lift would fall back down. And lastly was something similar in the ending section of Team Sonic and Team Dark's versions of Power Plants and Sonic Heroes. This scared me for basically the same reason as the Twinsanity drill chase, as it was a climb to the top with instant death getting closer and closer. Although I suppose you had at least one chance to get out of it if you had rings, but I always used to find this section impossible. Now for what I forgot movie-wise. The main thing was the Spider-Man Disc 2 main menu. I knew when I was putting that section together that I had forgotten something, and this is what it was. I think it was mainly because of the music, but I can't say for certain. Secondly was a scene in National Treasure 2 where someone died underwater, and while apparently this isn't what happened, my child brain interpreted it as them struggling to get out before being crushed by rocks or a stone door or something. I haven't rewatched the movie since to check, so I can't say for the life of me what really happens. Lastly was something that is sort of half and half on scarring me specifically as a kid, seeing as I was around 12 when I saw it, but it was major enough to traumatize me, so I wanted to mention it. The scene in Hot Fuzz where a guy gets his head crushed by a falling stone or boulder or something. That shit horrified me, and I remember just trying to play it off by pretending it was funny. I've never rewatched the film, and I don't intend to. Ever. Okay, that took a little longer than I thought it would, so let's quickly hop on over to the real topics of today. I'm going to be covering everything else that I could think of in this final part, keeping it in segments of course, as there wasn't ever enough of one category for a singular video. So with that said, let's begin. Seeing as I talked about all things movies last video, let's talk about all things TV first. I watched a lot of TV when I was a kid, mostly consisting of CBeebies, CITV, and CBBC when I was a bit older. However, when switching over to other channels or catching things that were on after the watershed, I had a few bad experiences. The biggest of them all, and probably the most unexplainable, was an ad for eSure. This is going right back to when I was around 3, but an ad apparently called Colossus would cause me to run out of the living room screaming. It's not a scary ad in any sense, and I have no idea what caused me to be scared of it. However, according to my mum, it was a different eSure ad that scared me, and with what she said about it, it does line up with my memory of what exactly scared me, except for the fact that I don't remember that ad in the slightest. On the other hand, even just the first frame of the Colossus ad is enough to bring it all back, as that's what is essentially burned into my brain. So it might be that I saw the ad my mum remembers, was scared by that, and then just whenever the Colossus one played I was able to recognize the style and mesh the two together. Who knows? Moving on to something I definitely should not have seen, The Bill. Surprisingly, I actually enjoyed this show for the most part when I was a kid, and it's probably the reason I love crime stories today. However, there was one episode that ruined it all. This is the only thing I actively remember from the show, and it essentially caused me to never go into the bathroom by myself, or even upstairs, for quite a while. I don't know anything else from the episode, but basically, I think two cops went into a house and there was either just water running down a wall or water-diluted blood. Most likely the latter, as I remember that as my first sort of warning that this wasn't going to be suitable for me. So because of that, the cops ran upstairs and barged into the bathroom where there was a dead woman lying in the bath overflowing with blood-stained water. And while at first I was semi-okay with what I was seeing, my mum happened to walk in and started freaking out and telling me to look away, which is what really caused me to freak out and realise that I was only okay with it because I was frozen in shock. I never watched the show again after that, but if anyone knows what episode that was, let me know. I kind of want to watch it again, see if it's as bad as I remember it being. Even some kid-friendly media left some scars though, the worst being in Bear in the Big Blue House. I loved this show. I watched it whenever I could, is what I would want to be saying. Yeah, Bear in the Big Blue House was a show I wanted to love, but never could. All just because of one thing. Shadow. Or, well, it wasn't Shadow herself, but her stories. Dear fucking god, the way those were done was nightmare fuel. As I said in the last video, I really don't like pitch black silhouettes, and that's basically how these were done. In fact, I think these segments are the reason I don't like silhouettes. There's just something really jarring about the movement and weird details, and Shadow's voice is kind of creepy when paired with the visuals. The only one I actually remember was a Hush Little Baby one, and I've never been able to hear that song afterwards without being reminded of the story segment. Going back to ads, there was one for Silverburn that I couldn't stand. I believe the ad is called Devil Temptation or Devil Red Dress or something. Honestly, I thought it was Demon at first because it had an alternate angel ad with a gold dress, which didn't bother me at all. But to talk about the devil one, it was the animation of it coming towards the screen that scared me. I think also the fact that it was red on nothing but black added to it. However, they shortened the ad soon after the angel one had been shown for a while so that the dress didn't come towards the screen anymore, and it didn't bother me after that, so it was most likely entirely the animation. Quite a nice dress though, honestly. A couple other things that scared me were the Crush ads. Thank you, Mr. Redman, for awakening that memory. Specifically the gym one, as that's the one I remember the most clearly. I just hated the cat getting crushed at the end more than anything, and the limbs sticking out from underneath the bottle. And the other thing was the music from Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. However, that came about because of a DVD game I had rather than the actual show. It still bothers me though. Quick add-on, the ending credits of SpongeBob SquarePants. I was reminded of this just recently, and yeah, it's not so much they scared me, but there was something weirdly off about them. Maybe it's just because the main thing I remember seeing them on was a compilation DVD of the Halloween and more spooky episodes, but I always felt as if they were more to hide something than just to give credit to the people making the show. The only thing I remember was going out of my way to try and skip them when I could because they made me uncomfortable. With all the TV entries talked about, let's go off of that final note and move on to music next. Unfortunately, I won't be able to play any of the music here due to it all being copyrighted stuff, so if you want to listen to any of the songs mentioned here, I will try to have each thing linked in a little info card thing that pops up. If that doesn't work though, then you'll just have to look them up for yourselves. Starting off with probably the most embarrassing yet impactful song, The Club Is Alive by JLS. You can thank an old classmate for this one. The song already has a rather weird tone to it, but unfortunately the year it released just happened to be the same year I was going through my Tails doll curse phase. And of the few classmates that knew of my fear, one of them decided to really take advantage of that and tell me that the silhouette of said doll appeared at the end of the music video. Which obviously it doesn't, but I was 10 at the time and had no way of finding out for myself, so I just took what they said as fact. So due to that, I freaked out anytime I heard the song because I thought the stupid thing was going to come and hunt me down. Especially since the school I was in at the time was said to be haunted. It just goes to show how much of a domino effect things can have. Seeing as it's already been brought up, let's just get this one out of the way now. Haunted by Evanescence. I found out about this song the same year as the previous, and I'm sure you're all smart enough to figure out the thing tying them together. Yep, I first heard this song because of a video showing the Tails doll Easter egg in Sonic Shorts Volume 5. Which had me terrified of TV static afterwards as well, but that's not the point at hand. At the very least, this song is actually pretty creepy with how it starts, and it does still kind of unnerve me a bit. Not something I would listen to late at night, with or without the Tails doll connection. Funnily enough, I actually found out about Thanks for the Memories because of him as well, and yet I adore that song, so yeah, the music tone definitely plays a huge part in things. Obviously. Going back really far to when I was just 3, In the Still of the Night from the Charlie Parker Big Band album. Little fact about me, I grew up with jazz music, and yet I'm not that big a fan of it as an adult. Anyway, I cannot explain this one. Basically, I used to love this album. I would listen to it a lot, and up until this track, everything had just been instrumental. But this one had singing in it. I know, right? The absolute horror. I don't know why this scared me. Like, I legitimately don't have a clue. All I know is that a few years later, when I was around maybe 7, I re-listened to the album and things completely switched around. Instead of being scared of the vocal tracks, I was now scared of the instrumental tracks. Something about them made me feel really isolated and vulnerable. Listening to it again now, though, I just don't like the music. Oh, also I should mention, the cover art for the album creeped me out as well. A couple other songs that scared me, but were more minor, were Crank That by Soulja Boy of all things. Laugh all you want, but that one instrument always made me imagine some kind of like skeleton hanging in a dungeon prison cell thing. It freaked me out. And the other was Creepy Doll by Jonathan Colton. I'll give you 2 guesses as to how I found out about that one. Also, while not an actual song, the cover art for both the first Iron Maiden and X Factor albums always creeped me out. The former just for how Eddie looked, and I quite frankly don't know if the remastered one is better or worse for that. And the X Factor one, I don't think I need to explain. It's just straight up disturbing. Only a few things left now, so let's get on with the last couple entries and then we'll really be done with this. Geez, kinda strange to think that this is really the end. It feels like I was only just coming up with this stuff not that long ago as well. But I guess it's really been almost 2 years now. Huh. Well, I guess we can end off with a bang? I'll mention the more minor things first, as I always do at this point. All of these are actually YouTube videos. The first 2 I always kinda lumped together as they seemed to go together when I first saw them. I don't know what they're actually called, but they were referred to as Scary Car and Scary Chair. Scary Car is that one that everyone seems to remember, with a car disappearing behind trees only for a zombie thing to pop up as a jump scare. And it was apparently an actual TV advert or something, so that's kinda cruel. And Scary Chair is one that seemed to be somewhat viral at the time I was a kid, yet I never see it mentioned anymore. It was a video with a rocking chair and an exorcist face jump scare. I always hated that one a lot more, I think because something actually crawled towards the screen. I can't really remember exactly, and I'm sure as hell not looking it up to check. The other YouTube video was a 60-second countdown video, only it wasn't actually 60 seconds. The video itself wasn't anything necessarily scary, but I remember myself and a bunch of other classmates were freaked out by it. There's just something really dark and intense about it, and the music doesn't help. It's like the numbers represent how long it has to live, or it's gonna die if it's in that room after it hits 0. And to be fair, I wasn't entirely wrong with thinking it had a deeper meaning, as according to the creator of the video, it's actually meant to be a representation of anxiety and how it can change your perception of things. Moving on to the final 2 major things, the first was just simply some lines of text, specifically the Windows 98 shutdown screen. This is one of the first things that ever scared me, as I grew up using an old 98 computer, and it stuck with me even till now, because I'm pretty sure if I was still able to use it, I would continue to turn the monitor off before it shut down fully. What it was, for those of you who don't know, was just these 2 lines of text saying that it was now safe to turn off the computer. That's it. But there was something about the stark contrast of the orange text on the black screen that terrified me, and it's because of me being scared of electronics coming on when they shouldn't be able to. I'm not kidding, whenever I slept in the same room as that computer, I would always have nightmares of it coming on randomly and displaying some creepy text on the screen, occasionally in blood. I do kind of miss it though. I had a lot of games I used to like playing on it. Lastly, something that I don't even really want to talk about, and that is a certain little PSA regarding fireworks safety. I'm not sure where else this was shown, but from what I know, if you were in school in the UK around 2006, 2007, then you most likely were shown this, and I'm really sorry for bringing it up, as I'm fairly certain everyone who's seen it will remember it clearly when I mention the fucking hand. I don't really remember much about what actually happened in the video prior. I just remember some kid holding a firework in their hand, lighting it, and counting down from 10. However, the firework exploded when they got to 4, and it just showed the aftermath of their hand with fingers missing on just a plain black background, and of course it just froze on that image. That is 100% the worst childhood trauma I have, and it was because of a school that I absolutely hated, no less. I don't have anything else to say on it besides just don't look it up, I guess. I don't know if the video exists on the internet. I would be surprised if it didn't, but I don't want to know either way. That shit is burned into my memory, and I remember I was terrified of fireworks the following years, as I was so scared that it was going to happen to literally anyone that was even in a close vicinity to one. I'm still honestly quite wary of them to this day, and I wouldn't go near one even if you paid me to. With that heavy entry done and out of the way though, I can finally say that I'm finished with this small series. I may do a spiritual sequel with stuff that scares me as an adult, however, if I do, then it'll be in the form of a top 10 list for Halloween next year. Either way, I hope you've all enjoyed these videos, and I really appreciate all the support I've gotten on them. It's been really interesting seeing people's comments saying what they were scared of as kids as well, so if you have any more after this video, then by all means, let me know. I made these videos because it's the kind of thing I personally enjoy watching and listening to, and I wanted to share my own experiences as many others have done before. So I can only encourage others to do the same. It's been a lot of fun, even if I have been rather shaken up occasionally by remembering all this stuff. I should really wrap this up though rather than rambling any longer, so thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate each and every one of you that takes some time out of your day to listen to me being arguably dumb. But yeah, until next time, bye!